Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Karen. I know I've been gone for a little while, but I am staying with a friend during the weekdays to help her transition from a hospital, lived at hospital for 8 months. So I'm transitioning from hospital living to life at home. So I'm here during the weekdays to help her out, and then her husband comes home on the weekend, and then I go home to see my husband on the weekend. But no, her husband's here all day long, but he works during the day. So he doesn't come home on the weekends. He's home all the time. He's just working during the day. So I stay with my friend during the day, and then he comes home and was able to stay with her during the day on the weekends when he's not working. Does that make sense? So that's why I have been not videotaping anything, because I'm in transition. I'm trying to figure out how to balance everything when I'm not at home for 5 days during the week. But I have another story from the grocery store for you today, and I know you all are waiting. Now this one is a little bit on the edge, I know. So it's about marijuana, and it is the interactions that I've had with people who come to work stoned, and trying to make them productive and working within the department so that we're all working as a team. But once you have somebody who's stoned, they're not working as a team. And so this is my first encounter with somebody who came to work incapacitated from marijuana. And I have a friend who is a friend of this person. And so I heard a lot of extra stuff, not just that I was working with him, but we're going to call this guy Bob. Bob's a good name. So, the thing with marijuana or cannabis, because it's legal now, but you can't come to work stoned. I'm sorry, you can't go to work drunk, so you can't come to work stoned. But it's been a common thread with both of the stores that I worked for with this company, is that cannabis or marijuana abuse was definitely a problem within the store that management didn't want to address. So each of the produce departments I worked at was affected by poor performers in the department, and they were poor performers because they were incapacitated. They were impaired. They were impaired. We're going to talk about Bob. He was the assistant produce manager in the first store that I worked at. And when he first started working with us, he was great. He did a good job. He was helpful. He was pleasant. And he was a person you wanted to be around. We had a fundraiser in the store every year, and he even volunteered to be part of this fundraiser, where if the store was able to raise, a certain amount of money, it could have been $1,000, it could have been $2,000. So when you go through the till and they say, would you like to donate $1 to our fundraising? And you say, yeah, sure, let me put that on my bill. Sure, no problem. That's how we were raising funds. And if they raised a certain amount of money, he would dye his hair pink. And so they did that, and he did that. So, and he was willing to go out there and help the store raise funds for really good causes. So, he was just a great guy, and we all really liked him. And then things really gradually just started to change for Bob. He became less and less reliable. If he was working freight, it started to take him more and more time to get one pallet of freight either put on a cart to send out to put on the floor, or to put back into the produce cooler. If he was working on the floor, he would pick all the really easy jobs to do, and would take forever to do them, like putting up bananas. Bananas is the easiest job ever. Usually the bananas don't come in damaged or anything because they're so well packed, and you just put them out, 4 boxes, 10 minutes tops. And it would take him like 45 minutes to do 4 boxes of bananas. Like, he was just slow, couldn't concentrate, squirrel. He would see anything and it was a squirrel, and he'd get distracted, wander around to other departments, things like that. He would disappear from the department for like 15 to 20 minutes at a time, and it was not his break time. He would just be gone, and we wouldn't know where he was. It was just like, have you seen Bob? No. we haven't seen Bob. And then a couple of times he would be on his break, and the breaks were 15 minutes, and he would fall asleep on the couches in the staff room, and we'd come upstairs and we'd just find him snoring away like 30 minutes after he started his break. So he was definitely stealing time from the company because he wasn't coming back to work when he was supposed to. And he just started showing up to work looking really rough, like he hadn't had a shower. He always had horrible bedhead. Like I don't think he brushed his hair in a month once, and like he was getting mats at the back of his head. Like it was really, really getting bad. And then one day he came here in, and he still had little, like his hair had grown out, and he still had little bits of pink on the ends of it. So it wasn't that long after the fundraiser, maybe 3 or 4 months. So this all transpired in not that long of a time when his decline really hit us. And he just came in one day and he was just in such rough shape. He looked awful. He had taken a Sharpie like this, and he had drawn his fingers black, and I don't remember if he did all of them or just a couple, but then he also drew symbols onto his knuckles, like ancient, I think one was supposed to look like a hieroglyph, like of a person, so just odd things on his hands, like it just looked really weird. And then his nails just were growing so long. My nails are not long, but they were growing so long, it just looked creepy. It just looked really creepy. And we were customer service. We were out there helping customers. We were the first line of between customers and our company. And so he did not look like someone you wanted working in your store, interacting with your customers. At one point in time, I would say he could frighten small children. He was just looking really, really rough. So he really should not have been working. And he was not being productive member of our team. And as a result, the rest of the team all began to resent him because we had to take up his slack. When he was working, nothing got done. And so somebody else had to do it for him. And that first store I worked at was a large, busy store. We may have had 6 to 7 people in the department on a given day. And so if he wasn't doing his job, there were 6 or 7 other people, or maybe 5 or 6 people to push through and get his stuff done, to ensure that the floor looked good, that the freight was put away, that we got done what we needed to get done. But we still had to work harder, and nobody wants to work harder. They want to do their share, but nobody wants to pick up the slack of somebody who's not doing their job. And it is the manager of our department and his bosses, the assistant manager and the store manager, who need to monitor that, and they didn't. It had to be brought to their attention that he was not doing a good job, and it had to be brought to their attention by me again. I don't know. They just turn a blind eye, it seems to. If that's something they teach them in the management courses, I don't know, but so Bob, I'm pretty sure, just started out on cannabis, and but he entered into a drug culture in the community that we lived in, and he moved on to cocaine and meth. And I know that because a good friend of mine was also partying with this Bob, and he was also addicted to cocaine for sure, maybe meth. You never know. So I know, I'm confident in that information because I know it's true, because my friend had to go through getting clean. But addiction doesn't care. Addiction doesn't care that you're working with really nice people and that you're friends of them, and that if you show up to work stoned, that you don't pull your weight and that your friends start to resent you. Addiction doesn't care about that. And that was what poor Bob was in. He was totally addicted to drugs, and he could not pull himself out of that. So the management team finally did pull him aside. Like after quite a while, like he showed up to work looking like he had slid off a motorcycle and rolled through the gravel many times. Like he just looked wrecked. He looked wrecked. It was sad to watch. But finally, the managers pulled him aside and said, look, we think you need help. We're going to give you a leave of absence, so your job will be here if you want it in like 6 months or however long you need to get yourself straight, to get yourself clean. And so Bob, he went back east to live with his grandmother, and he got some really good support from her. So that was good. But I hope he's clean today. I haven't heard much about him since he moved back east, but I think he's doing good. I hope he's doing good because he was a great guy. He was a wonderful person, and I'm glad that I met him. I was not glad to see his decline. I was not glad to see that he had to leave the store because of his addiction. But like I said, addiction doesn't care. Addiction grabs hold of you and takes you down this road that nobody wants to go down, and nobody wants it. You feel crappy when you're addicted, when you feel the hangover or the morning after. Addiction doesn't care. If your friends start to dislike you, addiction just doesn't care. So I have like about 3 other stories about cannabis or marijuana or people coming to work stoned, but this one seems to have taken quite a bit of time. So I will pepper it in with some of the other stories that I have from the grocery store, and I'll let you know. And then I'll share them with you. I've got a really lengthy story about this one worker who I worked at the last store, and his marijuana excerpts or shenanigans. But that one will come later. I'm trying to finish all the stories for my that I have from the store that I worked at first in the northern community. Before I moved to the store that I was at when I had to resign my position because of the antics of the management team up there. So, yeah. Alrighty. I want to thank all of you for watching. Like and subscribe. And, share me to a friend because, I'd love to meet them. All right. You guys have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.